In some of our Inside the Cube Brain Snack videos, you may have noticed that we have this poster in the background. Now, I've been asked the question quite a few times now what it actually shows. And I thought, why not show it in a short video? If you're interested in finding out more, stick around and we'll check it out. Before we have a closer look at the poster, let's first have a look at the original 5G mobile network vision. Now, previously, before we got to 5G, the biggest differences in the next generation of mobile network was always the significant increase of bandwidth. And that's also the case for the 5G vision. So we've got the increased bandwidth, but we also had these two new applications. So in other words, we've got the massive machine type communication, meaning the idea was that a huge amount of devices could be connected to the mobile network. However, each individual device actually only using a very small bandwidth. Or we've also got the ultra-reliable low latency communication, which was intended to be used for the autonomous driving. Now, depending on which application is actually being used in the mobile network, had a huge implication on the technical requirements of the mobile network. And it very quickly became clear that this traditional setup that was used for 4G and before, so in other words, having the radio head and the baseband unit and the majority of the functionality in the baseband unit, actually wouldn't work. So that's why what they did is they took all the functionality of the radio unit and also the baseband unit, put it all back together again, and then theoretically separating it at different split points, hence the split. Now, to make it a bit clearer, so separating it, for example, here at this part, meaning that we've got a central unit with only a very few functionalities in it, and we've got a radio unit with a lot of functionalities in it, but in between there we have the fiber link. Or, for example, we could also have the split here, so separating it there, having only a very few functionalities in the radio unit, and also then once again having then the majority of the functionality in the centralized unit, and here having the fiber link. Now, depending on where this split was made, and like I said, it was a theoretical thing that was done, the implications and the functional implications were quite significant. And that is exactly what this poster tries to put into context. So, let's have a closer look. Now, we've got these individual splits, and horizontally we have more detailed information on the individual splits. So starting right at the top with the naming details, because at the time there were different entities researching the individual splits and they gave them different names. However, nowadays, for example, it's only the 3GPP naming that we're using. Then below that we've got the individual functional splits put into relation with the protocol stack, or to be more precise, with the OSI model. And below that one we then also have the more detailed functional view, so that really gives you a deep insight into which functionalities are actually where, depending where the split is. Now, this part here actually is the main part showing the technical implications of the individual splits, because it shows you the latency requirements, the scalability, and also the bandwidth requirements of each individual split. And then below here, we've got this nice big area which will give you the pros and cons of each individual split in addition to the actual use cases. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, because you can also just go onto our homepage or click onto the link below and you can download this functional split. Also, you could also fill out the form and we will actually send you a printed A1 copy of this functional split. So, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something. If so, please leave a comment. And of course, remember to follow us for your regular brain snack doses. So, see you in one of the next videos. Bye bye.